Hi, and welcome to the Crit Hit Wild podcast, where we cover all things Marvel Crisis Protocol, and we do a new character every week. This week, we're going to be talking about Sunspot, and I'm your host, Fred.
I'm Brad.
I'm Brandon.
Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing this lovely Sunday morning? How are you doing today, Brad?
Awful, if we're being honest.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It, is it something you want to share, or do you want to just move on?
I've just been awake since 3 a.m.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Brandon, how are you feeling today?
3 a.m.'s early for Fred, who gets up at like 3:30 every day.
I did wake
Uh,
up at 4 this morning.
yeah, that's not a surprise. I'm
The
good.
the
I
difference
hung out.
the difference, Fred, is when did you go to bed?
I went to bed around 9:30 p.m.
Midnight.
a normal time. Okay. Yeah.
I slept from midnight to 3 a.m.
I'm sorry. Well, that's awful.
It's not where you want to be.
I'm sorry I interrupted you, Brandon. Continue.
No, you're fine. I was up till like 2, so I was like going to sleep when Brad was waking up. Apparently,
How'd your
Boy,
tournament go
howdy.
yesterday, Brandon?
it was honestly it went well. We only lost one match, but the match we lost happened to be in a very crucial time, so we lost in top four.
Mm.
Hmm.
So, but it was, I mean, like otherwise, it was good. We played well. I lost them. I lost them. I played a deck specifically for a certain matchup that I lost twice, which was really kind of um annoying more than anything. But I mean,
What
it
type
happens.
what tournament was this?
It was a Magic event. It was a team event, so it was a three. We had three-person teams. So each person played a different format. So we played Modern, Pioneer, and Standard. I played Modern. Um, and that's basically best two out of three between your each person plays best two out of three, and then it's the team best two out of three. So whoever's team um, goes 2-1 or 2-0. Like in the third round, I think it was. Like before my game finished, the other two matches finished, and I just scooped up my cards and we just moved on because we won the other two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I actually like I didn't actually scoop like the guy I guess I was playing against never really gets to play that often, and they were like, hey, it doesn't really matter like to finish, and he kind of just looked at me, and I was like, do you want to keep playing? And he was like, I never really get to play, and I was like, yeah, man, do your thing. So I just like sat there and let him play his deck like in solitaire essentially.
Okay.
Like, and I guess he didn't realize that I was doing it until like the end of the game. I guess I like when I laid my hand down, I laid it like face up. He was like, "Oh, you just stopped playing," and I was like, "I mean, I wanted you to have fun. I didn't mean to." So that was kind of my bad, but he had a good time. It was a good event. It was a better show out than we expected. I was really pleased with the outcome of the amount of people that showed up. We had like I think 21 people show up. So
Holy moly.
yeah, I was expecting four teams, so I was expecting like 12 people like max. So it was exciting to have that many people show up. It was a good time. So.
All right then. Well, I'm glad to hear you had such a good turnout. Um,
Yeah, our team finished third, and
oh,
the only team we lost to is the team that won. So
okay. Well, uh, you did well. I'm glad to hear that you did all right.
yeah, it was a good time.
Steven is not joining us today because he does not have power. So,
Some
uh,
natural disasters happen up there in Ohio.
yeah. Apparently there are tornadoes touching down. So, oh well, he will join us next week. But before we talk about anything else, we need to talk about upcoming tournaments. So coming up later this week on the 21st of September is a tournament at Lost Legion Games and Comics in
Whoa.
South Charleston. What?
It's September already?
Nope, it's not. It's August. It's August this holy moly. It's too early. So what I said was correct. On September 21st there will be a Lost Legion Games and Comics. But what I meant to say was on August the 17th, later this week, there is going to be a tournament at Lost Legion Games and Comics. That it will be in South Charleston, run by Brad. It will be I don't know who to expect, but I will be there, and we'll try and have as much fun as possible. We'll see how many people show up. Then coming up later in September, on the
Got
14th.
5 people currently signed up.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. On the 14th of September, there is the Akron Brew Brawl is taking place, and I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this one. Do we know if this needs to be an all-painted army, like it was the last time?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll try to look that up, Fred. You continue.
I believe, because I went to buy a ticket for it, I believe it says you do not have to have a fully painted army.
Okay, good for me.
When I feel like I talked to the owner about, or the guy running it last time. I had some time to talk to him about it, and he was wanting to kind of switch that. He felt like that prevented a lot of other people from coming.
It was a gate that was put up.
Yeah, Fred
Yeah.
almost didn't get to play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I had to scrounge models.
Yeah.
to
We
play.
also scrounged models up for Michael, who ended up not being able to make it. But
that was
some
one thing
people
I
don't
talked about.
have that option.
Because I guess some of the people who didn't come that were signed up, that's why they didn't come, is they didn't end up having the chance to get everything
painted.
Also, okay, so 6 people are technically signed up because Fred's not signed up.
Wait, am I not signed up
No,
for the Akron Brew Brawl?
nope, for the second
Oh,
Saturday.
for Saturday. Well, then I need to sign up. I need to do that. I will do that right away.
The fact that Akron and Pittsburgh are so close is really unfortunate for me.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Akron is the 14th of September. The 28th of September is the Pittsburgh BECC tournament at Fabricators Forge. This is also going to be a LVO qualifier, so it's going to be a big event, and I will also be attending that one. That one is... I'm excited.
Akron Brew Brawl says there are no painting requirements.
Hey, that's good to hear. Okay. I don't have to scrounge together some models. Well, so those are the events coming up in the next 2 months.
You mentioned the 21st in Lost Legion.
I did. I said that one
as
first.
August. Yeah, I remember now. Sorry.
Yeah, that was my mistake. But it's everyone. I'm gonna lift the veil here. We are recording very early in the morning because it's the
Not
only
for
time
Fred.
that works for us. Oh, well, I'm doing fine, but I'm
Fred's
also
been up for 5 hours.
I actually have been awake for 5 hours.
It's midday for Fred, so
I've been awake for 6, Fred.
Yeah, that's true.
it is an unfortunate 6 hours for Brad.
Yeah.
Right.
I've been up for an hour. I'm not like these heathens that like to get up with the sun. Apparently, actually, well before the sun.
Well, do we have? Let's talk about games that we've played recently. So I played 2 games on Thursday, both against Borka, and the first game that we played, he was playing Wakanda, and I was playing my new Cabal list. And the first game we played, Borka played Black Panther, original Black Panther. He played M'Baku, Shuri, Okoye, and Shang-Chi. While I was playing Red Skull, Master of the World, 4-point Winter Soldier, Ultron Metal Tyrant, and I believe one more 4, which I'm blanking on. but the way that this game turned out, he used I forget what the tactics card is, but it gives them an attack. It's one of the mystic attack
Whoa.
cards.
Oh, Bass.
Is it Bast's Blessing? No. Anyway, that attack, he was able to use it with Black Panther under the mantle of the Black Panther and re-roll all dice. So he triggered it on almost every single one of my characters. He
Bass
ran.
Blessing.
It is Bass Blessing. Okay. He ran through my entire team and basically annihilated me. Like it was an extremely one-sided game. I think that he ended up winning on scenario with something like 17 or 18 points to my
was-
7,
It was
maybe
21-8.
21-8. Okay.
I was
Yeah.
their scorekeeper during this game. That's the only
Yes.
reason I know what happened here.
It was 21-8. It was very one-sided. Boy howdy, Wakanda is effective. That is an effective team.
Where it's like they have the best win percentage in the game.
Yeah. We then played a second game, and we were joking around, and I forwarded, let's play a fun game. And so he put together a list that was fun, and I put together a list that I didn't realize was very hardcore.
How did you not realize?
Well, I'll tell you. Well, my leader was
Tell the people
Malekith.
what you played.
I
Played 18
Malekith.
points. Let's tell the team what you played here.
Yeah. Okay. I played Malekith. I played Ultron and 5-point Ultron and Scourge and Baron Zemo at 18 points. 3-point Baron Zemo. So Malekith has been nerfed quite a bit. Malekith still rules. He's still very effective on the table. He is a threat to the world if you don't have a way of dealing with him. And that is what happened in this game.
Josh played King T'Challa Wakanda is all you really need to know.
Yeah, he played King T'Challa. He played Shuri, Shang-Chi, and Squirrel Girl. He played Squirrel Girl in this game. And yeah, this was very much in my favor.
Fred also convinced him not to play restricted tactics cards.
I would like to say that it was you who brought that idea.
Well, I thought you guys were playing a fun game. And in a fun game, restricted tactics cards make sense not to play. I didn't know Fred was bringing out the buzzsaw.
I also did not know I was bringing out the buzzsaw. I also did not have any restricted cards. But man, this really was a one-sided game in my favor. And it was because I brought a really hardcore list to his much more fun list. So I apologize to Borka for that. Didn't realize how bad I had done this.
When he played, he said, well, I'll play Malekith because he's really bad, which is just a 100% inaccurate statement.
It is an inaccurate statement. Malekith is still good. He's still very good. Okay, enough about me.
I was also confused. I wanted to make it state that he had Malekith in his roster, and he thought he was really bad before he played him.
Listen, he's good as a 7-point model. I wasn't planning to ever really use him as my leader, unless it was like a 15-point game that I wanted to go really tall on. But
on face value, he has the best leadership in Cabal.
I think that Red Skull Master of the World is also very good. Malekith is a very good leadership. But yeah. Brad, what is your... Talk about any games that you played.
I played one game. I played against Aaron. He's been playing Namor Shield. And I played Cyclops X-Men. He also had the Black Cat. No, the Black Widow. Also, maybe Black Cat. Yeah, he had Black Cat, Namor.
Yeah, I think he had both.
He played Silver Sable in this game. because he had the trailer, the construction trailer on his side of the board. So he had a plan to just sit her up there and shoot at one of the meteors all game. I'll get to that in a minute. And Nick Fury Jr. We were 20 points, so I had 5 fours. I had Cyclops, Bishop, Nightcrawler, Psylocke, and Logan, the Wolverine. It was Meteors and Scrolls. Namor is really good.
Yeah.
I kind of tried to target him, so like, I think it took 2 characters to daze him, and then before he got to activate flipped, I rolled some good dice on Nightcrawler and KO'd him from full on the backside.
Okay.
Psylocke did nothing this game. Logan didn't do much. Logan didn't do much. Bishop and Cyclops did a lot. Nightcrawler obviously did a lot. Nightcrawler's conditional stealth came in handy. I've played around Silver Sable pretty easily. She I think made like 1 shot all game.
Oh wow.
So
that is unfortunate.
The first turn she moved and shot Bishop. The second turn she didn't have anyone that didn't have stealth within range. So he double moved her up to the excavator and sat her on top of that, where she was like pretty close to the middle of the board and could shoot a bunch of people. And then she picked up a scroll and I pushed her off of it. And then she might have dazed at that point. I don't remember for sure. And then he double moved her onto a size 3 building so that next turn she could shoot my Cyclops, who was at 1 health and on my edge of the board holding a scroll, so that I could get that point. But that's the turn I won. So she moved, shot, double moved. That was her whole game.
Silver Sable.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like that's what's going to happen in a lot of games with her.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
I think that there's like
Good.
She's kind of conditionally useful. There's gonna be teams where she's very effective against, but I feel like if she's up against a team that has anybody with stealth, and the person knows she's gonna end up on a building, they just keep stealth models close to her and otherwise keep away, make her useless.
I had a plan to like just go over and throw the building at her and daze her, but he wouldn't attack my bishop to give him enough power. I was going to throw the size 4 building at her and then shoot her. And that probably takes care of her.
Yeah, probably. I think that pretty much solves that issue.
Yeah, and then she doesn't have the building the next turn, so I could just like kill her pretty easily. But I never had to do that. She was irrelevant. It was almost like he played 4 points down. Is she 4 points?
She's a 4, yeah.
She's a 4. Yeah. Okay, well, Brandon, did you...
one more thing. They should have never made that stupid ability that lets you place your own extracts. I think that's broken. I don't think it should be in the game.
I mean, it's a very strong ability.
I think it's too strong. I think it fundamentally breaks the game.
It is only in Shield, and I agree with you.
Nick Fury's grunts are maybe the best grunts in the game.
Playing Shield, being able to play Nick Fury and his grunts and the Black Widow and having effectively, it feels like half your team being able to place your own extracts when you drop them. is the reason that like I wanted to play Shield and the reason I think Shield is so good. Like
I mean,
without
yeah,
those, I don't. I mean, they're good. Like they have a good roster and really good tactics cards. But like, I do think that makes them like over the top. Like that's what's putting them in that top tier compared to like other things.
I
Like
don't
that is a
I don't know how they don't win like every game. It's such a good
yeah.
ability.
I think the real reason, like, I really do think that like before Namor, like they didn't really have any like top top tier models in the affiliation. Like they have good models, but they didn't have like a Beta Ray Bill, Black Cat, anything like that in affiliation, and where all their tactics cards are designed in affiliation. I think that's what held it up because you have to play a lot of shield models, and like they're good, but they're not like those top like tier one models, and I think that is really like I think they've been like one. It's felt like they've been one tier model away in affiliation from being just absolutely busted, and Namor may be what puts that over the top.
yeah. Namor really helps them a lot.
Well, that's what I was gonna say is that once he gets once he gets that shield list like fleshed out and like dedicated to like a Namor like Nick Fury shield list, I think that list is gonna be really, really like scary good.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I know Aaron listens to the podcast, and I'm warning him not to do the thing he did before, which was really hone down his list and then try to
Oh,
fit
what?
five
Yeah.
leaders in. Don't do that this time. Just make your list really good.
It was really good before he did that.
It
He had a
was
lot. He did
really
have a lot of,
good.
and he had a lot of fun with that. So he did have a lot of fun with the every leader in the world list. But,
Yeah,
yeah, I do. I think Namor. I think Namor really put Shield in a spot like where they're pretty over the top.
I agree. They are very good with Namor. Okay. Brandon, did you have any games that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. So I played Modern. Um, I was. I'm just
Okay.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I've not played it. I didn't. I did not play this week because I was testing for the Magic event that I played in.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on then to the news and announcements from AMG. So Brad, there were some there was a little bit of news that came out uh involving Angel. We now know Angel and Archangel's cards.
Yes. Well, the
We
backs of
know
the
some
cards.
we got the well, yeah, we got the backs of their cards. And we got some tactics cards released. We also got some terrain features
That
that
is
they
correct.
released that have special rules associated with them. Do you want to go over those special rules?
Sure. Okay, the first one is that I have here is the pack that has all the like little scatter terrain pieces, and there's two. There is one with the regeneration tanks, and those are the ones with the little people in them. And you can interact with them to remove 2 damage and 1 special condition, and then you gain stagger. It's a 0.
I mean,
I was
it's
really hoping there was a drawback on that.
yeah. Then
Yeah,
there's a huge drawback on there.
yeah. There's a huge drawback.
Does
Uh,
it affect the points of
it's
the game?
0. It's 0.
0. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other one is the crystal obelisks, and you place 2 or more on the battlefield and gives -1 to the threat. And you can interact with them to place yourself within one of another crystal obelisk.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
neat.
yeah, that one's cool. Uh,
Okay.
then we have the what's it called? The rejuvenation chamber, which is like the really big piece of terrain that comes in its own box. I'm pretty sure this is the one that comes with uh, the Ultimate Encounter. That it's not
Yeah.
in Apocalypse's box, it's in this one. So, it gives -1 at the start of an allied character's activation if that character is injured and is overlapping a rejuvenation chamber. It may be KO'd. If a character is KO'd in this way, place an unused character from your roster with threat value equal to or lower than the threat value of the KO'd character into play, overlapping the rejuvenation chamber. The unused character gains 3 power and an activated token and is now part of your squad.
I mean, that's neat. I like that a lot. That's fun. You get to put in a new character from your roster.
Yeah. The I think the fluff of this is that they are being transformed by Apocalypse. So like changing out Angel for Archangel would be really cool because then he's transforming. You can't do it though.
Right, because Archangel's 4 points and Angel's 3.
Yeah. So, but it's that sort of idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's neat. I like it.
It is. It'd be fun to play with.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much it for the news. We will go over the relevant tactics cards when we get to those particular models. But let's move forward. Hey, Brandon, I want to hear what your take is on Lady Sif and on Mighty Thor.
Yeah, so I think Lady Sif is gonna be like the most underrated character in that box. I think she's just a 4-point I think she's like a 4-point Valkyrie. I think she does a lot, and battle test having damage reduction is gonna be really relevant. I think for her long term, especially in Asgard. So getting an extra power and having damage reduction is one of the reasons. Like, she feels really kind of like a fixed Beta Ray Bill. And I think, I think so. I do think she'll end up seeing some play specifically in Asgard when you want to play a bunch of 4s. I think she's up there in the 4s that you're going to reach for early on in affiliation outside of obviously Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah.
For those attrition matchups.
Okay.
But I do think going forward, Asgard's going to start with a 5 and a 6 threat model, so it might be kind of tough to play some other stuff.
Right. They're already pretty tall. They're starting tall.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
What's your letter grade for Lady Sif?
I think just a B. I think she is good, but I don't think she only being Asgard affiliated. I think does damper some. I would have really liked to see her in like A-Force, even though like it makes no sense, but like half that roster doesn't make a ton of sense anyway. I think that would have been pretty helpful.
No, Brandon. Everyone on that list has been a member of A-Force. The problem is there are people who should be on there that aren't.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's never the other way. It's never the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, so it would have been a cool addition, even though it would have made no sense. And I think it would have fun because I am not sure. What she brings is something you can get slightly better at the same threat value elsewhere if you're going out of affiliation. So I think most, if not all of her play is going to only be really in affiliation. So it's hard to put her above that like B- B area.
Yep, that's totally fair. All right, and what's your take on Mighty Thor?
Mighty Thor feels like in a design space, this was exactly what the first Thor should have been. Like everything about this card feels like this is exactly what the first Thor, the 5-point original Thor should have been. And we just got it, 4 years later, under a different name. It's a cool affiliation bonus. The hard part I think for her specifically is the box she's coming in with Loki. I think Loki's just better. So I think it's really kind of unfortunate for her to be in that same box. Like if she would have came out like 6 months ago, I think she would have probably seen a good amount of play over like the other options in affiliation. Like I think you would have probably played her over 5 Point Thor. Um, because of the rerolls. We talked about it a little bit before the cast. The is she be worthy online? Being online on turn every turn is going to be really good. Being able to move up at Hammer Strike with if she be worthy online um, is and being able to get a throw trigger off of it is going to be really relevant, especially in the matchups they want to play, which are going to be pretty attrition based matchups. So if someone has a Hulk, they can move the Hulk up, but she can just throw it on turn one, and she gets a 6 die attack with 2 rerolls to try to or reroll any number.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's on defense, right? Hold on. Attack. That's
Well,
it's only defense, isn't it? Okay.
yes, that's only on defense.
Okay. I thought okay. That's not as good. She's gonna be more survivable than original Thor with only on defense. I was getting ready to get onto the defense part of it, but I thought you could reroll both offense and defense. So only being defense makes her just more survivable. Her damage output will probably be on about the same par. 6 dice and a wild trigger is a decent percentage. I think we've talked about it before. I think like 6 dice for a wild is in the like 60% chance, if I remember correctly. So, and then Lightning Blast is really, really good. Um, I don't know how much you guys talked about it. I have not got to listen to this cast yet. I was pretty busy last week, so I don't know how much you guys talked about Lightning Blast. But Lightning Blast is a range 4 power spender that is you can make sure is 100% online on turn two, and being able to deal 2 auto damage to other characters is very, very good.
Yeah.
So I do think she is in a good. I think she's in a great design space. I think this model has really good design, with flight, immunity, shock, like everything on this card's really good. Um, it's really where you want to be. It's a good leadership. The problem is she's coming in a box with Loki, and I do think Loki is really, really good. I do think this box pretty much just solidifies that the original Thor is not going to see probably close to any play going forward. Not so much because of Mighty Thor, mostly because the new Thor is really, really good. But
Yeah.
I think this like I said, I feel like the Mighty Thor, and I could be completely off and completely wrong. You guys could tell me how stupid I am, but the Mighty Thor really feels like a fixed version of Thor Prince of Asgard, and I like the health switch, um, because it's I like 8 being on the front side instead of the back side. It keeps her healthier on objectives. Being able to reroll, like I do think you really want to keep this character on their healthy side. I think that's going to be part of the focus, because I do think she just kind of can die on her backside. Where Thor's kind of the mighty Thor, or Prince of Asgard Thor is kind of the opposite. Once he gets to his backside, it's a little bit more difficult to kill him because his health goes up. But he doesn't have any rerolls or any defensive tech. This model does. In a trade for a range 5 throw attack, effectively was the trade-off, and having a range 5 1 power 5 dice attack, or having access to 2 rerolls on non-mystic attacks, uh, seems like a trade I would personally make every single time. I don't know about you guys.
I I had not made the comparison as to whether or not I would take Mighty Thor or 5 Point Thor, and you could almost, uh, yeah, I would probably take the Mighty Thor over 5 Point Thor almost every time.
Yeah, well, like, cause so like in a window, right? Like, we'll pull it up, so I don't want to misspeak. So Thor, Prince of Asgard, has his strike is range 2 6 dice with a wild throw. Same exact thing, except for it's range 2. They each have 4 defenses. They both move medium. They're both on a small base. It's 8 health to 7 on the front side. He has the Hammer Thirst. She doesn't have a second attack. And then God of Thunder's Area 2, 7 dice for 4. Everyone gets shock. This is range 4, 8 dice for 4 power. Everyone gains shock, but it gives auto damage to the area.
Yeah.
I think both leaderships are good. I do think all 3 Asgard affiliated leaderships are good. They both have a charge. One gets to reroll up to 2 dice on the charge. The other one gains stagger if it does damage, which I do think that charge is better.
Yeah, his is
But
better.
if whiffing on that is rough, though, if you don't get that, like it feels really bad. Rerolling the dice will probably feel better, like more consistently. Then the throw, the strongest Avenger, same throw, except for Thor can throw characters, which is very relevant, but they've kind of gotten away from that design space. And then they both has Guardian, essentially. She's got the modified dice defensively, and then they both have flight and immunity to shock, but Thor's immune to stun. And Thor overall does have 1 additional health compared to her, because she goes down to 6, and he is 7-8.
He's just 7-7.
No, he's 7-8.
He's 7-8. Oh,
He's
yeah,
7-8.
you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
he's 7-8. Well, if it was 7-7, Fred, they'd have the same
Yeah.
total. So it's 8-6 and 7-8. So it feels like design wise, this is just kind of a fixed version of the original Thor, and I think she kind of probably pushes him out of play, which is kind of unfortunate.
Well, to be fair, I don't think that she pushes him out. I think 6-point Thor pushes him out of play.
So the thing, like Thor, the problem is Thor would see some play in the non-Asgard. Like there was some play he would see in Avengers, and he kind of lost his job in Avengers. So now it's like his only play was really in Asgard. So having a leadership on 2 Thor Odinson is kind of, I think, gonna
Takes
probably
him out
just,
of the
I think
the
it's just gonna
equation.
take him completely out of the equation. And it's really mostly probably gonna be Loki. I think that's the leadership you're gonna play. We talked about it. We talked about it Thursday that Loki's current win percentage on Longshanks is like 70% at time of recording, which is absolutely insane.
That is pretty wild. That's pretty wild. Okay, all right. Let's. How about a letter grade for the Mighty Thor? I want to move you forward.
Mighty Thor. I think it's just kind of in that. I think she's just a solid B. Like I think she's a really good design character, but like, she's not gonna see a lot of splash because she's only Asgard affiliated, and
Well, she's A-Force affiliated as well.
she. So it's like her 5-point Danvers. She could see play in A-Force. If A-Force gets a new leadership, she'll probably see play in A-Force.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing for her.
She can act as a special delivery model because she has flight.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what it's her, that 5-point Danvers, that both kind of are doing that. But
yeah.
The problem with A-Force isn't them or the roster. It's the fact that they only have 1 leadership. And that's not a great one.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move forward. So we are not going to do a recalibration matrix this week. Let's move instead right into Brad's trivia corner. Hey, Brad, do you have some trivia for us?
Trivia corner. Yes, I do have trivia for you, Fred. So here's how this game works. I ask Fred a trivia question about an MCP character. The catch is that the trivia is from the comics, which he does not read. Well, I mean, he has read some comics. Have you started that other one, Fred?
I have not. I have not started it yet.
That's fine. It definitely won't come back to bite you in the ass today. No problem.
Oh, no.
If he gets it right, he'll get 3 points. If he gets it wrong, I'll give him a hint, which he can earn 2 points off of. And if he still gets it wrong, Brandon gets a go to get 1 point. Fred needs 6 points to win. And Fred, do you have any questions? Great. Despite this character being associated with a particular hero, most of his classic appearances were actually against a different hero, the Hulk. More than half his appearance fighting the hero he's associated with have happened after 2010.
Oh boy. The hero that he's associated with. So this is a person who fights another hero.
Yeah, that
Uh,
he's strongly associated with a certain hero. But more than half of his fights against that hero or appearances with that hero happened after 2010. And a bunch of them before that are actually against the Hulk.
is this Red Skull?
No.
Okay.
Your hint. In one story centered around this character, he gets surgery to become a super genius after a woman he saves says he's too stupid to be a romantic interest. His genius quickly leads to him being unhappy because he can no longer really enjoy life. He contemplates suicide, but instead has the surgery reversed and actually requests that he be made a little dumber than he was before.
Oh no. He gets flowers for Algernon.
He
Um
does. This storyline is called Flowers for the character's name.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I've got nothing here, man. All I know is that he's supposed to be kind of dumb. Is this? Oh, I don't know. Is this the Blob?
That is incorrect, but that's a decent guess, given all the information you have. Brandon, do you have a guess about who this is?
Not particularly. Someone who's strong enough to fight the Hulk. And
Yeah,
they
who
have
does
to
not
be
get killed
able they
immediately.
have to be able to live to tell the tale.
Yeah.
I I don't know. I really wanted to say Wolverine, but I don't think that's at all correct.
Oof.
And then it's like characters. They're trying to think of characters that would survive that fault. Like you got like
Fred,
Wolverine,
Fred,
Juggernaut.
you can help Brandon. He can't help you, so
Okay,
just
I can help
clarifying
Brandon.
that. Yeah.
What about Abomination?
I mean, Abomination is known as a Hulk guy. So
Yeah.
this
Oh,
person's
okay. He's
not
known as a
known as
Hulk guy.
fighting Hulk, right?
Okay.
So they're not known as fighting Hulk. Because I thought it was Abomination but then when he restated the question, I was like, oh well, that doesn't
Yeah.
check out. I thinking of characters in MCP that would like survive that fight. It really feels like Juggernaut and like Logan are really the only ones like that would like withstand fighting him like all the time. And both of those characters are pretty fucking stupid. Um, in the comics. So, uh,
What about Sabretooth?
I don't even know if I've ever thought of Sabretooth fighting the Hulk.
Yeah. He usually fights Logan.
Did those start after 2010?
I don't know. Hey, I'm just throwing out ideas
No,
here.
I don't think that's you know what? I think I like that. I'm gonna go with Sabretooth.
That's a good guess, but wrong.
Okay.
Did I mention the right answer?
No.
Oh, I guess we.
The correct answer is Rhino.
Really?
Yeah, and in fact,
Really?
in the Rhino episode, one of the storylines I suggested was Flowers for Rhino.
Okay. Oh wow.
I forgot about Rhino. That would have been it would have been another character that fought. So he didn't start fighting Spider-Man until after 2010.
He occasionally appeared, but like 52% of his appearances in a comic with Spider-Man happen after 2010.
Weird.
And
That is
like
kind of wild.
it was like 68% are after 2000.
Huh.
But he has a bunch of appearances in Hulk. He almost 2 years on the dot, he would fight Hulk throughout like the 70s and into the 80s, I think.
So did they like power downgrade Rhino like throughout time? Like did he get like effectively nerfed in the comics?
No, I think he actually got stronger at one point. Anyway, the
Well, he
next
got dumber at one point.
he definitely got dumber. He got smarter and then dumber.
He is also a dumb character. We did
he
think of most of all the big dumb guys.
Yeah,
We did
uh
forget one.
Logan not dumb but uneducated. So there's a little bit of a difference there. All right,
yeah.
your next character, and Fred, you just have to nail these on the first try. Both of these.
Okay.
This character recruited a bunch of alternate versions of themselves from the multiverse to fight all the alternate versions of another character. One universe's version was a famous inventor. Even though this version didn't start the team, they ended up a leader and regulated the original leader to guard duty.
Oh boy. Okay, is this someone who could possibly do this kind of thing? Is it Doctor Strange?
That is incorrect.
Okay.
Your hint. This character has been a member of several teams, including the Frightful Four, the Emissaries of Evil, the Sinister Six. Magneto even tried to recruit him to the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, but he declined because he wasn't a mutant.
Okay. Is this Dr. Octopus?
That's a really good incorrect guess.
Okay. Daggone it.
Brandon, do you have a guess?
The only two characters that I remember being in the Frightful Four and the Sinister Six are Sandman and Electro. What was the first hint?
They recruit a bunch of alternate versions of themselves to fight alternate versions of some other hero. I didn't say hero the first time, but obviously this is a bad guy. And one of them was a famous inventor who became the leader and made the original leader do guard duty.
I feel like it's Electro. Mainly because I don't know if Sandman would. Yeah, I'm gonna go Electro.
Electro is correct. That's 1 point
Hey.
for you guys. And the former leader that was put on guard duty does betray them and help out the Web Warriors. Defeat the Electroverse is what this was called. The Electroverse.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Well,
once
we had
again,
1 point.
the story where Magneto tries to recruit Electro was one of the recommendations I made on the Electro episode. I just want the receipts that Fred does not listen to me.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Those
yeah,
are hard receipts.
This character comes from a race of beings where when the child comes of age, they must either be killed by their parent or kill their parent. This character ran away instead.
Be killed by their parent or kill their parent?
Yes.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wait, so how is it? How do they have a positive increase in the number of species of members that
They
have?
don't.
Okay.
It's constant.
Well,
it grew by one once.
when this character ran away.
Yeah. Well, twice, but we'll get to that later.
Okay. Well, that's crazy. I know that. So my first instinct, and this is not my guess, was to say Beta Ray Bill because he's a crazy alien who grew up hard. But I don't think that was Beta Ray Bill's thing. I don't think that where he came from.
I
They
have
are a race of warriors.
Yeah.
I have a feeling if I this might be giving too much away in this instance. You already said you weren't going to say Beta Ray Bill. I'm pretty sure if I told you Beta Ray Bill's origin, you would have known it was Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah. Because you've done Beta Ray Bill before, and I got it right. So instead of saying Beta Ray Bill, I'm gonna say Gamora.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
Your hint: this character feeds by infecting organic matter with a techno-organic virus and then absorbing that infected material into themselves.
Okay. Well, is this Warlock? Is this the new Warlock?
Warlock is correct.
Hey, yeah.
Warlock has a child at one point and does not continue the cycle of violence against their child and raises him to be normal. So the species
Seems like a
grew by 2. In between that, however, the mutants do kill Warlock's father.
so they correct the mistake of
So it went
not
up by
killing it.
1 and then down by 1 and then up by 1 again. So
Yeah.
that positive of 1. There's 1 extra.
Okay. I knew that because Warlock has techno-organic virus as one of his superpowers.
Very good,
That's the
Fred.
only reason I got that correct.
Very good.
Okay.
Your bonus worth 3 points, Fred. What do these characters have in common?
All right. Okay. So we've got Warlock, we've got Electro, and we've got Rhino. Rhino, Electro, and Warlock. Warlock is not a spider foe. There's no way that he's going to be a spider foe. So it's not that they're spider foes. Is it that they have place effects on themselves?
Does Warlock
that
have
what
a
it
place effect?
I don't know. I don't have his card in front of me, and
Warlock
don't have
does
it memorized.
not have a place of.
I didn't think he
Okay.
did.
Well,
No.
then I'm wrong.
Brandon, do you know?
Unless it's like a super obvious that they are like how they became like how they are, but Warlock's like a species, so Warlock really threw me off. So I don't know much about Warlock outside of like his appearance in the '90s show.
So
Right?
the correct answer is they all destroy terrain without throwing it.
In different ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. That is true because the Stampede destroys terrain size 1 and 2s that you touch, and then Electro destroys it by consuming it in his spender, and then Warlock has a thing too that does it too.
He can do it for rerolls in his spender or to heal.
Yeah.
Okay. Other people I considered for this were Black Bolt and Juggernaut.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well,
you lose.
We lost.
Sorry, Fred. No, Brandon's neutral, but Fred lost.
Okay, yes. I lost. Oh, well. Can't win them all. Well, let's move on to the person that we are here to cover today. Today, we are going to be talking about Sunspot, one of the new models that came out in this new box. Sunspot's name is Roberto da Costa. He has a defense value of 3 physical, 4 energy, and 3 mystic. He has 6 health on both sides of his card. He has a threat value of 4, size 2, and a movement speed of medium. Hey, Brad, why don't you do his attack suite?
Okay, he has 2 energy attacks. The first one is called UV Strike. It's range 2, 5 dice, cost 0. Gain power equal damage dealt. Has a wild hit heating up. After this attack is resolved, this character gains 1 flare token. His second energy attack is called Dark Solar Blast. It's range 3, 7 dice, costs 3. And it has a trigger of Wild Hit, Thermokinetic Concussion. After this attack is resolved, other characters within 2 of the target character suffer 1 damage. The characters dealt damage by this special rule do not gain power for this damage. This character cannot damage itself with this special rule.
Yeah. Brandon, why don't you do his first 2 superpowers?
So we have high energy conversion, which is an active superpower for 2. You choose an interactive terrain feature or enemy character within 2 of a size equal to or less than the number of flare tokens this character has, and you throw it short. This superpower can only be used once per turn. Sunburn, an active superpower for 2, is an action. This character advances its speed. If it has 3 flare tokens, it instead advances long and gains flight. During this advance, after advancing, it immediately makes an attack action. This superpower can only be used once per turn.
Okay, and his last powers, he has a reactive superpower called Thermokinesis. It has a cost of 0. Before rolling attack dice, this character may use this superpower, spend 1 or more flare tokens, add 1 die to the attack roll for each flare token spent. If at least 1 flare token was spent after the attack is resolved, the target character gains the Incinerate special condition. And then he has an innate superpower called Flare State. After this character ends a movement, it gains 1 flare token. This character can have a maximum of 3 flare tokens at any time. Additionally, when this character would become dazed or KO'd, this character may choose to spend all its flare tokens. If it does, this character deals 1 damage to all enemy characters within range X of it, where X is the number of flare tokens spent. Then this character is dazed or KO'd. All right. So, and I believe that the backside of his card is exactly the same. It is a non-change card. All right. So this is going to be a character taken very often in the New Mutants affiliation. So we will go over that affiliation here shortly. But let's talk about what this guy looks like on first blush. I don't particularly like the flare token mechanic currently on him. I know that the leadership will help it, but he's going to use those flare tokens all the time. He will have used them all probably at the end of every single one of his activations. I feel like he's going to, because there's no reason not to pump up attacks with his flare tokens. I mean, the thermokinesis ability is very good. That's a good ability, and it gives the there's no trigger incinerate. It just they get incinerate if you use it. So that's going to be used all the time, and he will just have no flare tokens. What do you guys think? What do you think about this, Brad?
I think that the sunburn charge is going to be very useful in trying to use him. But yeah, I think you're right that most of the time you're going to be spending at least 1 flare token if you have it. And probably all of
I
them.
mean, I agree. He
Probably
has
all
a
of them.
charge.
Yeah, that's going to give him a flare token, but I could see his his play pattern being charge, gain a flare token. That's the only one he has. Spend it to do his attack, and then making
Not
another
move again.
attack.
Yeah, just attack again. His attacks are good. They are energy attacks, and he has a range 2 builder, which is kind of annoying. I think that's kind of low for a character
It's because he has the charge.
that has. Yeah, that's true. He has a charge.
It's because he has the charge.
And then he has a range 3 spender, which is better. And I like that it does damage to characters around him, and they don't gain power from it. That's good. That's solid. But
How many
it has
characters have a charge with a range 3 or above attack?
Builder? I don't know.
Yeah.
Not a
Mighty
lot.
Thor is the only one I can think of.
Huh. You've thrown me for a loop. I can't think of any. I get Mighty Thor is the only one that I can think of too. So yeah.
Anyhow, sorry.
Anyway, uh, yeah. I mean, energy attacks are good, and it's good to have a character that can shell them out. And these are solid energy attacks. I know that this is an annoying thing to say, but I think that he is fragile as can be. He has 3 physical defense and nothing defensive. There's no defense on him that can be used. Like if he gets up against a character that can punch back with a physical attack, he is going to die.
I have a rules question for Brad. Whenever, just this is
Yeah.
me sending it out in the ether, so I don't forget it.
Brandon, why don't you speak? It's been me and Brad talking only on this guy.
Sunburn, Brad.
Yes.
Action. This character advances its speed. Period. Would he gain a flare token before the second line?
No. Because he
No.
gains the flare token at the end of of a movement.
Yeah, because you would advance your speed.
And
Would
then
you
it
then
says,
gain?
if he has 3, he advances long
He instead
instead.
advances. Okay.
Instead.
Okay.
Instead's
Yeah.
that
Okay.
keyword there.
Yeah. I
It,
feel like the period shouldn't be there. I feel like the period is
I mean, that's
a weird place.
English.
confusing.
Also, just to
Yeah.
answer the question, I used the
That's so
tag
fair.
search in Cerebro, and I didn't make it very far down the list before I decided that there's a bunch.
That's
Archangel, uh, Captain America Sam, Captain America First Avenger, and Captain Marvel Cosmic Avenger all have a range 3 or longer attack. And then
so
Okay.
they're all
I
like new
just I
characters.
just stopped looking because that was already all. This total list isn't that long.
I mean, Sam isn't that new.
He's the
Sam
Sam's
only one so
not.
far that isn't new, right?
I mean, new is relative. The new core box has been out for almost a year.
That's
We're
true.
closing in on a year.
That sounds like it.
And Mighty Thor. That's actually the
Yeah.
whole list. There, I had seen all of them but one.
So Sam is the only one that hasn't been released in the last 365 days.
Correct. That
Yeah.
is correct.
I mean, okay, cool. Um, so the flare tokens are definitely interesting. I think a key thing, so being able to, like, if you move twice on turn one, you get 2 flare tokens. You don't spend your power, so you have 2 power. If you can UV strike and gain 1 power, and if you can also gain that 1 flare token, that means you can Dark Solar Blast on turn 2 for 10 dice.
True.
And
You just said a lot of ifs.
but that's the thing is, those ifs though aren't. How often on turn 1 do you move a character twice?
All the time.
Pretty frequently.
All
Pretty
the time, right?
frequently.
So that gains you 2. So then if you're that, it's not like if, but like then you're most likely in range of another character. So if you on your first activation you get an attack. I mean, hit wild isn't an easy thing to get, but it's not like the hardest thing to get.
It's not impossible.
Yeah, it's not like there are worse triggers.
Yep.
Like if it was crit wild, like this wouldn't even be a conversation. But at hit wild, even in the worst thing, you deal 1 damage and then you get a 9 dice attack for 3 power on turn 2.
Yeah.
So it feels pretty likely that these things are a thing that can happen. But you can also, like, it's just like there are a lot of things that can go right for this character, but not having a lot of defensive tech um, does make it kind of like unfortunate. Also, when you have 3 of the tokens, being able to like builder use 1, so your builder's 6 dice, they get incinerate, and then you can use 2 on the spender, and then now you have a 9 dice, they're incinerated, and you can kind of. I think this character is a lot more aggressive than we've been getting a lot more aggressive mutants lately. I feel like
Good.
this one's in that spot.
With
Yeah, because the first like 2 waves of mutants were like all very passive and very
with 10 dice, it's a 75% chance to hit the trigger.
yeah.
Pretty likely.
Yeah.
At
That's what I
seven
that's
seven dice, the base, it's 58%.
yeah, like wild hit is not an unrealistic like trigger to hit.
Yeah.
So I
Here's the thing about his builder. I think that wild hit is still too to just gain 1 flare token.
I
It's
think the
too
problem is
onerous.
I think the flare tokens are actually like too good. I feel like this character changed a lot during testing and those flare tokens were limited
Yeah,
like a lot because I do think thermokinesis is really good. And
it
it's
is.
not it's just with the dark solar blast. And like I said, being able to use 1 on UV strike and then 2 on dark solar blast, and if you have an affiliation, because ends of movement is any kind of
Yes.
Any movement,
Movement is
correct.
the least restrictive word they could have used.
yeah. So
It,
if you're using him in affiliations like say in like Midnight Suns, right? The place counts as a movement.
that's correct. And or using him in an affiliation like New Mutants, which we need to talk about.
Yeah, so 3 for in like I'm just gonna use since we haven't brought that up yet. So in Midnight Suns for 3 power, you can get 2 flare tokens and an attack. So and just with 3 power, you can get all 3 of your flare tokens. Like I do think the flare tokens might end up just being really good. The big thing is how much is this character going to survive, especially with only 3 physical defense and needing to be close to characters. It's going to be really tough, but those energy attacks are going to just obliterate characters.
That is true. And I think that you are correct. He is an exceptionally aggressive piece. He's an aggro piece.
Yeah. I think that's the way you want to I think that's the way you have to play him.
Yeah.
I do not think I do like the throw too because again, you can throw size 3 characters or terrain for 2 power. So like when you have the token, like on his flipped activation, having at minimum 7, and if he has, 2 to 3 flare tokens, being able to like do his say if he has 3, if he's flipped and he has 3 tokens, you can high energy conversion for 3. You can sunburn, advance long, wherever you want. Even if you only have 2, then you can gain that. Well, you need the third one to get the long action. So then it's like, then you're moving long, then you get to make an attack. In this scenario, like you're going to use your builder, you can use one of those tokens, make sure they're incinerated. If you get that token back with heating up, now you have the 3 tokens again, and now you can spend your last 3 power to 10 die attack on the Dark Solar Blast, and that feels really, really good and not super like unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because that's only a 7 power, and like I said, if he just gets dazed and has, like, he'll have at minimum 7 power. Like, if he gets dazed like in 1 activation, like he'll have at minimum 7 power because of the 6 health and then the 1. Um, I feel like for 7 power, a lot of characters can do a lot less. And I think for 7 power, that's a lot, and you can kind of just, like I said, with the energy attacks, like they can, like, he's gonna be really niche, but like you can just delete models with it. Um, kind of like as Brad knows, when you have like Psylocke who has energy and mystic attacks, like you can just literally delete models kind of on accident, and that's what really made X Force. I still think X Force is better because of like the Bishop and well Cable's increases, but Bishop having all those energy attacks really makes it hard to deal with that. Like you have to play different models because certain things just get obliterated. Like you can't play your Venoms, you can't play like your Rhinos, your Wolverines and stuff like that. You just get deleted off the board.
Yeah. And this guy will play into that particular game plan. This guy would be an amazing X-Force model. I don't know if he is going to be in that affiliation. We don't know his affiliation yet.
I don't
Uh,
know. I don't know if he was ever really in X Force, but
He
that's
was.
a Brad.
This is his X-Force costume.
Okay.
Okay, so he's gonna be an X-Force,
I would think
probably.
so.
I couldn't
Okay.
remember. I remember when we talked about him before that like there's like multiple versions obviously of this character, but I couldn't remember if this is the one that we thought for sure was going to be an X-Force when we talked about it. This is the character we thought like for sure was going to be X-Force, right, Brad?
Yeah, I
Like this
think. Yeah.
box. Or
Well,
not the box because
no.
Maverick.
What?
Is Maverick in this box?
No.
No,
It's
Maverick's in the Weapon X
it's
box.
Warlock. Warlock won't be X Force.
Yeah, Warlock. Okay. I got the boxes confused. I think that may have threw me off. So yeah. Yeah, if he's X-Force, like X-Force is really, really gonna hit hard.
Yeah, this guy is an X-Force model. If that is an affiliation he would really shine in. Speaking of affiliations, let's talk about New Mutants, which is another one that he will likely be in. So the New Mutants affiliation, it is a reactive super. It is a tactics card affiliation. Um, After all characters have been deployed, an allied Ilyana Rasputin may play this card. Ilyana Rasputin gains the leadership ability shown above. It is your active leadership, and it is called Cry for Help, affiliation New Mutants. If an allied character is targeted by an enemy attack, after the attack is resolved, another allied character within range 3 of it may spend 1 power to use this leadership ability. Place the character that spent power within range 1 of the target character. Of the targeted character. So, in theory, Sunspot could teleport using that ability. Let's say they're attacking another one of your another one of your models. Sunspot could spend a power and teleport using that, and he would gain a flare token from the teleporting. And if they attack the same character again, he could do it again. It does not say once per turn. So he could gain 2 flare tokens for them attacking an allied character nearby. That's not bad. That's a good effect. That's a good way to get flare tokens on him. I think this leadership is kind of bad. I don't like this leadership much. But we also don't know all the effects of everyone involved. We don't know who's going to be in this affiliation.
Yeah, we only know 3 characters so far.
Right. It's going to be Magic. It's going to be Sunspot and Warlock, right?
Yeah.
Those are the only characters we know.
They're
So we know nothing about this affiliation.
Spending 1 power to move 3 is
It's actually more than 3. It's a character within range 3 may spend, and they get to place themselves within range 1. So it
the
could
target character. So you can
so
technically
it could be
flip
on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, I the only thing I would I think this leadership's really good.
Do you?
I just out of again, I think the big thing is out of activation, moving and placing is something that has always been kind of broken in this game. It's something they've removed from like all the tactics cards or like out of activation moves. Having this large of a move for basically free, like 1 power in the grand scheme of things, like to move like that. Like imagine if Miles's range 3 place was 1 power.
I'm not saying this is bad. Well, I guess I did kind of say
You
that.
actually said
say
the
that.
words that you think this is bad. Those were the exact words you said, Fred. You said after all of that, I think this leadership is bad. I think the biggest reason you think that is we've gotten some really, really good leaderships recently.
Yes.
But I do the worst thing about this is that it's on a tactics card. That's by far the worst thing about this. That it's on a tactics card and attached to Magic.
That is bad. So it does not do anything to prevent another attack. Like if the person is being attacked, someone teleports nearby, and I guess that if the person is a bodyguard in some way.
I also do think that this affiliation is going to be very hard to play, but like if you can play, like say you have like it doesn't say they have to be a New Mutant. So you could have Hulk within range 3 of someone, pay 1 power to place over there, and then during another activation, if they attack someone else within 3 on the other side of them, then you can then place them again. And now Hulk just went from a back B to a like from corner to corner on Bs, like the far corners. Um, and he spent 2 power and didn't do anything during his activation to do that.
That's true. That's true.
However, placing I think is going to be really like this is going to be a difficult leadership to take full advantage of because you're going to have to place properly, and like you don't have to like there's no line of sight restraints or anything, so you just have to make sure you're like within 3 of your like allies, which a lot of the especially if I feel like I've played like the ones that I've played recently, a lot of the tactics are pretty close. But it's the same thing. Like you can kind of jump characters. Like this is like really good on Gamma, like on the center point. Like if someone tries to attack someone on the center point from the back point, you can just move a character onto their back point.
Yeah. Another thing to watch out for with this leadership is every single time it's used could trigger a Green Goblin tricks and traps or a Winter Soldier operative Warzone or whatever his ability is called. So the people
Yeah,
who
but
have rates.
you have to remember your triggers, so we're not really worried about that around here.
Yeah, you're right. If you're up against me, you have nothing to worry about.
Unless you're in a tournament, Brad might remind him.
Oh God.
Bazinga.
Bazinga.
I thought that ability was automatic. I'm sorry. I would not have reminded him of Green Goblin. I know that one's not automatic. Here's my
It is
dream for this leadership. It
ready.
doesn't matter if the targeted character got dazed by the attack. So I can't wait to see someone attack a character, daze them. The person spend 1 and teleport within 1 of that targeted character. And then that person, their opponent's using their second action to attack the character that's now in range and daze them too, when they wouldn't have been able to get to them otherwise. That's my dream. Can't wait to see it happen.
Well, this is also really good with like Nightcrawler, right?
No. Nightcrawler only counts during his own activation.
Okay. That stinks. This also gives a good hint that we may get a new magic at some point relatively soon. Hopefully.
Yes, it does. There is a hint.
It definitely leaves the door open.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be nice because I have played I've played Magic a good amount. I want her to be way better than she is. I love that they have a 3-point leader. Magic dies, and Magic dies really, really easily.
Yes, she does.
And I really like that model, and I want it to be really good. But like this leadership not doing any, this leadership doesn't really do anything to like keep her alive or anything like that. And like that's her. It kind of puts her in a worse position if you're like teleporting her near someone, like because she just dies on accident.
Yeah, she does. All right, so we're here talking about Sunspot. We need to give Sunspot a letter grade. I am kind of down on Sunspot. He is a mega aggro character.
You've said twice in this cast that he's bad, so
I think he's bad. I don't think he's terrible. I think he's playable, and he is someone who's going to do well in like X-Force, and maybe in New Mutants. We'll see. We don't know enough about that affiliation yet, but I think that right now where he currently stands, another thing that I find annoying is that his charge, if you get the benefit of having the flare tokens, you are going like if you have 3 to get the long move and the flight, you don't get a flare token after the move. That's wasting a move. That anyway, I am down on him. I'm gonna give him a C, and I'm tempted to give him a C minus, and I'm gonna give him a C minus. That's where I'm gonna land.
I think Fred highly just doesn't understand flare tokens. I think that's what's bothering him right now.
Yeah, the
Brad, what is your take
the
here on
long move
Sunspot?
flight is worth way more than gaining
A
another flare
singular,
token.
because you get to make an attack, and if you make your builder, then you can immediately get like if you can use you can use your flare token and immediately get it back.
Brad, what's your take here?
He's better than Fred thinks. I'd
Can you
say
technically? I don't know.
go ahead.
No, I was thinking of something, but it doesn't work. I figured it out in my head.
Okay. Uh, I'd say B. B sounds good.
All right,
Uh,
and Brandon, what's your
so
take here?
what I was thinking is like you could technically I was trying to think I was thinking of like magic that like if you could activate sunburn and then trigger the 3 flares and then spin the flare to get the extra dice, still get the long advance, but then be able to get the flare token off of the movement.
No.
But that's yeah. Look, I realized that when I started thinking about it, that I was thinking about it in aspects of a completely different like game and not how like any miniatures game works. So that's what I was. That'd be really cool. That would also be stupid and broken. They should never do anything like that in the game. I am not with Fred. Fred can live in his sea land by himself. Um, I am after reading it. It's the first time I'd read this card. I think this card, and we also didn't talk about much that when he's dazed, if he has 3,
Oh yeah, you're right. We
he,
didn't talk about this.
anything within 3, he does auto damage to any character within 3 of him
Yes,
when he's
he
dazed.
has to spend the tokens.
Yeah,
So
which is unfortunate.
you're more likely to spend 2.
Yeah.
Range 3 is huge though. Like
Yeah, if
you're
you
right.
can
We
deal
should have
auto
mentioned this.
damage to like say like especially on again, I feel like he's gonna really want to play on like ease and stuff like that. If you can hit almost everyone, I mean you're really in a spot. It does stink because his next activation with a bunch of flare tokens would be really really good, but having and we don't know what his tactics cards are yet. Like there could be tactics cards that just spend a power or like spend 2 power, get 2 flare tokens or something like that.
Yep, there
Um,
could be.
So having access to getting more easily would be something different, but that's besides the point. But I think that ability is really good. I think we just kind of brushed over it. I didn't realize. I am looking at the card on a computer, and I had to scroll down to read all of that. So I just kind of missed it or slash forgot about it when I was looking at it. I'm definitely with Brad. I was tempted on a B plus, but I do think the lack of defensive tech and the 3 physical defense is going to make him really unsurvivable. Um, I mean, but like, and I've played against like Electro and stuff, who also has like 3 physical defense, right?
True.
And like not a lot of defensive tech, like so it's
His defensive tech is he bites you back and you gain shock.
yeah. So like yeah, and that's really good. But I think I'd rather just have like the Dark Solar Blast, and I've said it like a bunch of times. I think it's just gonna melt characters. And I think if they have Sunspot in their roster, it's gonna be really hard to take certain models because of that ability. Just being easily online on like turn 2, just to be able to melt someone with Dark Solar Blast for only 3 power and 10 dice is gonna be something really really good. So I was leaning towards a B plus. Brad's B has me in that range. I want to do a B plus hybrid here. B plus with tactics
So you're
cards.
making up a
No 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 no
new.
no no no. B as is B with the B plus potential with tactics cards. I don't know if they can make a tactics card that would push him into the A's, but they could. But I want the right to reserve my letter grade, improving to a B plus if he has like any remotely playable tactics card. Doesn't even have to be great, just remotely playable. I think
Okay.
a singular remotely playable tactics card makes this character a B plus, and I think if we knew the New Mutants affiliation, which I mean Brad could probably spout off half the people who could probably be a part of it. If it's an anywhat near aggressive affiliation, I think he is just even better in that scenario.
This is coming from the person who gave Mighty Thor a B and Lady Sif a B today
I'm really
in
B
this
today.
cast. Yeah.
It is.
Uh,
I've been very B lately.
I think this character is nowhere near as good as either one of them. I think but that's my take.
I think the thing is that thinking about them in their Asgard or A-Force, right? Those are they have a ton of characters in those affiliations that can hit and hit really hard. The mutant affiliations don't have that. And he's
True.
fitting into the mutant affiliations. So he's
Okay.
going to be a really good fit into where he's going to play. That's where my stance is really I don't know if this model is going to see a ton of play outside of affiliations, but if he can get
And
um
neither will
I
Lady
in a,
Sif or Mighty Thor.
yeah, in a perfect world, he's going to be like X-Force, New Mutants, Uncanny X-Men, right, Brad?
Not Uncanny X-Men.
Not Uncanny. So X-Force, and that's unfortunate. So X-Force, he would probably be really fun under Cyclops. But
Yeah, I think Archangel's gonna take that role
yeah, Archangel's gonna be great under that.
in
But yeah, I
Uncanny
think
X-Men.
I think I mean in X Force and New Mutants, I think he's gonna be someone that sees a lot of play, and can really help those affiliations do what they want to do and do what they want to do better.
All
So
right then.
that's in the regards of those models. I don't think you can compare those models against each other just because they're not going to be played in the same capacity.
That's
In
true, and
affiliation.
I agree.
And Lady Sif also has a Beta Ray Bill in her affiliation at the same threat value.
Yeah. All right then. That is our take on Sunspot here. Uh, we'll see. We'll see what his tactics cards do. Let's move on to Brad's comic book recommendations. So, do you have any comic book recommendations that feature Roberto da Costa?
Yeah, Fred. Why would I not? This not only
I'm legally required to ask you.
not only do I always. This is a mutant.
And this is the one where he had to restrict the.
I already wrote up warlocks too.
Okay.
First, Fred. Uh, Roberto da Costa, uh, who is Brazilian, does not go by Roberto. He, of course, has
Okay.
a shortened name. I want you to guess what that is. Let's see how
Uh,
cultural you are.
No way
so
he
it's
gets this.
he does not go by Roberto.
I'll give you a hint.
There's no way I
It's not Bob.
get. um, I've got. Is it Bert?
No. What the
Okay.
fuck, Fred? Uh,
He
so
gave you like everything in it. Game
uh,
a layup there, Brad.
back in the 80s when he was invented, there wasn't the internet. And so you only had really the library to do research. So he was called Berto back then.
Okay.
But more recently, they fixed that because that is not what a Brazilian man named Roberto would go by. He would go by
Okay.
Beto.
Beto.
Yeah, Beto. So that's what he is
Okay.
called now, Beto. All right, here are the
Huh.
comics, Fred. The first one's called Fallen Angels. This is by Joe Duffy, Joe Stanton, and Carrie Gamble. And this is from the 80s. Yeah, it has to be the 80s. Sunspot runs away from the X-Mansion and his friends after he almost kills maybe his best friend Cannonball. I don't remember which one he almost kills. And I didn't look it up. Warlock follows along to make sure he's not alone. They end up teaming up with Multiple Man, Siren, the villain Vanisher, Moon Boy, and Devil Dinosaur, along with 2 cyborg lobsters. So
2 cyborg lobsters.
yeah, I think one's named Bill. I don't remember the other one's name. I want to say Ted. I don't think it's Ted though.
Is it Bill and Ted?
I don't think it is. I'll look it up in a second.
How
That'd
big?
be
Hold on.
hilarious.
We can't move past this. How big are these lobsters? Like, are they
Lobster
lobster sized?
sized, yeah.
Why are they sideways?
Because I'm pretty sure they thought it was funny. So this
Okay.
this is one of the weirdest and funnest adventures in Marvel's history. Like it's a fun book.
Okay.
Bill the lobster and Dawn. Bill and Dawn are the two lobsters. One of them's green, the other one's blue. Bill's
okay.
green and Dawn's blue. Fred, do you know who Multiple Man is?
Yeah, he's a dude who makes copies of himself and then he can reabsorb them to learn everything they did.
Yeah,
Is that
very
right?
good. My favorite Marvel character.
Fred's favorite Marvel character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've learned that entirely through cultural osmosis of being near you when you talk about Multiple Man.
If
do you know
Multiple
who-
Man gets brought up in any relative capacity, Brad gets to talk about him for 10 minutes. I think that's the rule he plays.
I'm not going to talk about him anymore. We're moving on. Siren, do you know who that is?
No. Wait, yes, he's the guy who has a voice box and he can fly by like yelling at the ground.
Okay, you're thinking of Banshee,
I'm thinking of Banshee.
who is
Okay.
a dude that yells at the ground and flies. He has sonic powers.
Okay.
This is his daughter who has sonic powers and yells at the ground to fly.
Yeah, I feel like Fred deserves a lot of credit here, actually.
Yeah, hold on.
Like, I want to give Fred credit because that's the fact that he even knew who Banshee was is pretty incredible.
So this is his daughter. So you just
Okay.
had the gender wrong. She has the exact same powers. Do you know who Vanisher is?
No idea.
So Vanisher was the villain in the second ever X-Men comic. And he has the power to teleport. That's it. He just teleports. He does
Okay.
steal the nuclear football, I believe, in that.
Okay.
Episode.
So is he just like Nightcrawler?
He's way more powerful than Nightcrawler.
Oh, okay.
First of all, he doesn't leave a sulfuric smell and smoke behind, and he can teleport anywhere he wants. Like, Nightcrawler has to see where he's going, or he'll end up in a building somehow, like in the wall of a building or something.
Right.
Vanisher does not have that problem. He instinctively knows where he will not be inside of matter.
I've got an off-topic question. How does Nightcrawler know that's the threat? Has he ever like been partially in a wall? Like what? How does he know that that's something he has to worry about?
Because he can't feel whether it's open or closed like Vanisher
Okay.
can. That's never really been addressed, Fred. That's a good question.
Like he's alive, so he's never appeared inside of a wall.
He
I
did.
I don't know.
So he did die by
Well,
teleporting.
Yeah.
Teleporting.
Next to the sun.
No. Oh no, that's different. He originally died. He teleported, and the bad guy's arm was already there, and it was in his chest.
Okay.
Because the bad guy had calculated where he was gonna end up.
Okay.
So there is at least one example that shows he does not know. Do you know who Moon Boy is?
Nope.
He's just a caveman, like a teenage caveman boy.
Okay. His superpower is caveman.
He's just a caveman from caveman
Okay.
days. Best friends with Devil Dinosaur, which is who I really want to get to. Do you know who Devil
Yeah.
Dinosaur is, Fred?
I mean, no. I don't know who Devil Dinosaur is.
A big red T-Rex. He's awesome.
I mean that rules.
He's so great.
Wait, what wasn't hold on. Wasn't like there an attempt? Did you bring this up that there was an attempt to replace Godzilla with Devil Dinosaur in
No,
some
that was
circumstance?
they created a legally distinct Godzilla.
Right.
And that actually did happen. So the thing you're thinking of is they were going to do a series where Deadpool gets rid of the licensed characters that they don't have license to anymore, and they're going to have Fing Fang Foom replace
Oh.
Godzilla in those stories.
Okay.
They did kill Godzilla in the comics, and they allude to the fact that he had mutated so much that he was not recognizable from his older version without naming Godzilla, because they couldn't at that point. And then they kill him. They also have a character called American Kaiju, who is a Godzilla with a flag on his face.
Oh, wow.
We are way off topic, though.
Yeah, we are. Sorry.
The second comic series I have is X-Force 1991, 1 through 15. This is Rob Liefeld and Fabian Nicieza. And the New Mutants have become X-Force under Cable's supervision. Birdo, however, leaves the team to join Gideon, who has secret...
I'm sorry, Brad. I'm gonna hop in here. It's pronounced Beto.
So back
sorry,
at this point in time,
yeah, I know.
He was still
Birdo.
called Birdo. I'm telling you in context of the time.
Yep.
But Gideon has secret motivations for helping Sunspot. Those have to do with the fact that somebody on the team is an Eternal. An Eternal is an immortal mutant who resurrects after they die. And probably the most famous Eternal is Apocalypse.
Right.
Just a warning, this is probably the worst recommendation I've ever made on this show, on this podcast. A lot of people have really fond memories of these comics, but they're not the best. They're very 90s. X-Force #1 is the second most sold comic in the history of comics.
That's wow. Okay.
#2. #1 is X-Men #1 from 91 or 92, whenever it was. That's the most sold comic ever. X-Force #1 is #2. A lot of people give Rob Liefeld shit for his art, and he earns it. Like, he earns that shit because it's really dynamic, but the proportions are way off. Like,
they don't look correct.
His women standing there looking over their shoulder, you can see full butt and full boobs, like just impossible things. And he never draws feet. There's a shop, you can see it in the trailer. There's a shop in one of the scenes in Deadpool and Wolverine, which Rob Liefeld is co-creator. Oh, and Fabian Nicieza. They're co-creators of Deadpool. They created Deadpool together. But there's a shop in the background of Deadpool and Wolverine that's called Liefeld's Only Feet, and it's a shoe shop. And it's a joke making fun of him because he never draws feet. He finds some way to cover them up.
I watched Deadpool and Wolverine yesterday, so I know what you're talking about. I saw that shop.
Okay.
I didn't get the reference.
Yeah, now you do. Now you appreciate it. There's a lot of little things in that movie for the real heads. All right, I have one more recommendation, Fred.
Mm-hmm.
It's called X-Men Red 2022. It's by Al Ewing and Stefano Caselli. And I I didn't go back and check, but I'm like 90% sure that this was also a recommendation on the Storm episode. But it's worth repeating because it's one of the best X-Men comics ever written. It's really, really good. And two, Beto is a very important character in this. So, because of things happening, some of which Fred's about to read, a group of mutants who lived in another dimension have settled on a terraformed Mars. Those people renamed the planet Mars. Not rename it Mars. They rename it from Mars to Araco, and they are the Iraqi people. Storm is then declared the regent of the Sol System, so she represents our solar system in intergalactic affairs.
You definitely did recommend this one.
Yeah, I know I
remember
did.
that.
So let's get to the Beto part. Abigail Brand, who's a mutant and half alien, is doing some shady shit, and only one person has the foresight to stop her, and that's Roberto da Costa. So a large part of the series follows him around as he uncovers the secret history of the Iraqi people and puts plans within plans to stop this new society from failing. And the rest of it is mostly Storm being a badass. But he is very important. So if you want to see what this character has become, which is pretty cool, or if you love Storm, this series is great. It has a lot of cool stuff. It also has a bunch of new characters because the Iraqi people showed up in 2019, maybe technically 2020. So they haven't been around for very long. So that's it. Those are your comic book recommendations.
Okay. Well, thank you, Brad. I appreciate that. And I guess the only thing that wait, no. Sunspot would work well in a affiliation that is not his own. What affiliation helps him?
I think like the affiliations you're gonna look at like, two different ways, right? Like to make him more of just like a murder machine, or things that give him like defensive abilities, like anything that can like help him out defensively, either defensive rerolls or does Storm's leadership still give cover?
No.
It lets you re-roll a die.
Yeah, that's why I was like kind of like I thought he'd be a nice fit like under like Storm, just because if you could give him like cover, that'd be really nice. But a reroll, like those affiliations with rerolls that are also lacking on like energy attacks are really where you kind of want to like think about.
Like a Web
There's not
Warriors.
a
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and like the movement would help there, give them a lot of punch. And I think a lot of it too, like, we're really living in a world where like the Venoms are really hard to play. Um, I think everyone's got a bunch of energy attacks, so I do think the Venoms become a lot harder to play. And then if you're taking those out of like Web Warriors, needing someone to be able to hit really hard, and offer some survivability, like I think that's a really good place. The one place I was also thinking is mainly because we were just talked about it, but like, and I need to check to make sure that leadership is not different than I think it is. Yep, the original Black Panther's Wakanda leadership, I had to make sure it wasn't like specific to Wakanda um, characters, but attacking, defending, and dodging, getting a power just to reroll a die, can be really helpful. And then in that affiliation, can Shuri also reroll other people's dice?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure I haven't played against Wakanda or with Wakanda in a very long time, but it was when seeing them played last Thursday and then thinking about it, that's the main. I kind of like him fitting in there. The hard part is a 4. Their affiliation does have a lot of 4s, but Wakanda like can play really defensively, but they also can play very aggressively, as Fred found out in the latter portion of his
Yeah.
first game,
Yep.
where they just kind of cleaned house on him.
They just
And
killed me.
but they also don't have a ton of energy attacks that I can think of that can do a lot of damage. Because Shuri has energy attacks, but they're limited on their damage. Um, and then M'Baku also has an energy attack, or does he have a mystic attack?
Killmonger has an
Uh,
energy attack.
yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I knew
Okay.
he did. Yeah. So I like giving a little diversity. I think he could fit in there in a as a piece that could assist, gives him survivability, but also gives him a. It's like the only affiliation that has like a reroll that's both offensive and defensive, right?
Um, I'm. You put me on the spot here.
I can't think of anyone. I do have
Yeah, I
an
think that's the only
affiliation for
one.
Sunspot though.
I'm ready.
Midnight Suns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I think that's also a place that he can slide in really well. I think the hardest thing there is just the 4 threats in that affiliation. It's actually really not the 4s in affiliation. It's kind of like the 4 pluses in affiliation.
It's that he's not a Midnight Sun and he does not benefit from Siege of Darkness.
I mean, actually, only in affiliation it's just Blade and Voodoo that are 4s. Yeah, I think it's actually a really good fit. I actually really like him there.
Yeah.
And then you have Wong, um, who can heal him to keep him alive. And if you're playing like Immortal Hulk or Ghost Rider, and if they're focusing on Sunspot, like you're gonna win that game.
That's true.
Yeah, I unlike Fred, I think me and Brad both understand that the flare tokens are actually really good, and that if you can take full advantage of getting those, that you can.
I have a rules question before we move away from Sunspot. Would he be getting flare tokens from enemy push effects? Like, say, if Shuri were to attack him, would he gain a flare token from that?
Yes.
It's
Okay,
anything that would move his model, correct? Like the way it's phrased is anything
Yeah.
that any way he would ever move, right?
if he gets thrown, he gains a flare token.
Yes. If the
He's better than I
scenario
thought.
if scenario pushes him like a scroll, he gets a token.
Okay,
Or a
Yeah.
spider person.
I'm gonna do a momentary recalibration. I'm gonna go up
No,
to
no,
4
no,
plus.
no,
I'm, go-
no, no,
I'm
no,
going up.
no. You are not allowed to change. You can't change shit, Fred. You spent all this episode talking about how bad he is. And the thing is, me and Brad clarified earlier about the movement thing because I asked about that and asked to make
Okay.
sure that it was everything. And Brad said, yes, it's the least restrictive term. And then you were like, flare tokens suck. I
Flare
don't know why
tokens
you
are
want
bad.
these flare tokens. Him and Malekith are both really bad. Why would you play these characters?
That sounded exactly like me. You should do an impression.
But yeah, I think Midnight Suns is because I mean I referenced that a bunch earlier. I think it's kind of the same thing. Gwenpool, not Gwenpool, Spider Gwen, Spider Gwen, Spider Gwen fits really well in Midnight Suns because of the triggers off of the place,
Yes.
um, and that is something that. And the problem was she didn't fit in with the rest of what Midnight Suns wants to do. Sunspot does. And again, if they're not focusing on, if you've ever played Midnight Suns, which 2 of us in this chat have, and one of them has played against them a bunch, if they are not focusing on Blade, you are in a very, very good spot.
Accurate.
Like Blade
Accurate.
is so relevant to that game plan, and like so if you can take anything, and if they're not focusing on Sunspot, and he just gets to do whatever he wants, that's probably also a bad thing for your opponent.
That is a very good point. Okay. Well, thank you, Brandon. That was enlightening. Uh I guess the only thing left is my non sequitur recommendation. So I am going to recommend a 2007 sci-fi thriller movie that I very much enjoyed. It kind of flew under the radar, but it is worth going back and watching. It's called Sunshine. It stars Cillian Murphy in one of his earliest roles. It's not his earliest, but it's one of his earlier roles. And it was directed by Danny Boyle, the same guy who did Train Spotting and 28 Days Later. And this movie it's nothing like those two movies that I just said. It is like a very high concept sci-fi movie where the sun is going out and a team of scientists and astronauts need to travel to the sun to set off a bomb near it to restart it. And this movie is very it holds up. I watched it a couple years ago and it is still very good. It is worth watching. Highly recommend. And that is it for our episode today. Thank you, Brad and Brandon, for joining me this early in the morning to do a record for a podcast. And thank you, everyone who is listening, for downloading. I hope that everyone out there gets to have a wonderful rest of the week. Goodbye, everyone.